humiliation and embarrassment we suffered this morning in the hands of officials of correctional services. I want to apologize to you people for the humiliation. I also understood that in the course of time, in the course of the fisticuffs and violent assault on the press, they spoiled one of their cameras. I've notified the authority and also the word about what happened today in the State High Court. I want to apologize to you for such misconduct. Of course, court has also lent its voice to condemn and also apologize for what happened today. We appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much. Now, going into what happened today. Today is 13th of February 2025. It's a historic day once again. This is a matter that commenced sometime in 2021. This innocent Biafrans, all Ebonese indigenous, were arrested at different places in 2021 by Nigerian police. And charged, first of all, they were charged for the attacks in numbers. They were charged for offense of murder in this court before Honorable Justice Ishima. And at the end of the prosecution's case, evidence was cleared. They called witnesses. We filed a no case submission indicating that their evidence led cannot sustain the bogus charge preferred against them. And the court considered it on the merits and accordingly sustained the no case submission and discharged them. Then they were still in custody when the prosecutor filed also another charge. The borders on armed robbery, arson, unlawful possession of firearms, and all whatnot, 16 numbers. And we also exercised patience. We told them to exercise patience. Trial commenced. They brought in the fielded 3 witnesses. They also tendered several exhibits in court to improve their case. At the end of the prosecution's case, we also filed a no case submission because the evidence adduced at the trial cannot sustain the charge, the bogus charge. And the court also find the application meritorious and sustain it and discharge the accused, the defendants, for the second time. Then they ran to another court and filed another charge that borders on armed robbery. Then I also urge them to calm down, to relax, that we should get to the end of the trial. There must be an end to litigation. The process was followed seamlessly. The prosecutor fielded 3 witnesses as well, tendered several exhibits. At the end of the prosecution's case, we filed no case submission. That's before just Ezel. Then his lordship, in his wisdom, found our application meritorious, discharged and thereabout acquitted them. Then they were not released. They were also rearrested, taken into custody again, and now they filed another charge of armed robbery with the same particulars, the same information, the same witnesses, the same facts for evidence before another court. Honorable Justice Chukwu. Then we also file an objection to the charge on the ground that the accused persons has been discharged, tried and discharged, and acquitted on similar facts and charge. The court this morning ruled an objection and sustained our objection, and accordingly discharged these defendants and acquitted them. While that matter was going on, they filed another charge again, that has to do with the offenses they have been tried before and acquitted. Wherein we also filed an objection to challenging that charge. But this morning, the lordship said no, that it can no longer continue, that mental torture is much, that when he went through when the president was going through this case file, that wasn't settled, that doesn't have the mental state to continue with the trial, with the further hearing of this case, and restrict themselves from further taking up the new charge. That's where we are today. I've severally urged the authority of the state, the DPP, the AG, and also the governor, to do the honorable thing by releasing these children, these innocent Ebonyi indigenous. They're not from Anambra, they're not from Enugu, they're not from Abia State, they're not from River State, they're not from West, they're not from North, they are from Ebonyi State. They're from Ebonyi, they're all indigenous of Ebonyi State. Being held since 2021 in 4 different occasions. The court of competition has discharged and acquitted them, and prosecutor has never gone to appeal any of those rulings. Rather, they are foreign shopping, looking for court. They will obtain probably kangaroo judgment order, and they refuse. I commend the judiciary of Ebonyi State. I commend them for their courage and dexterity to do justice to all manner of men. And I'm also using this opportunity to call on the Attorney of Ebonyi State to advise the authority to release this innocent Biafrans. They've committed no offense to law. Some of them have lost their parents. they have lost their children, they've lost their brothers, they've lost their businesses. 1621. It can only happen here. I've not seen such thing. In Abuja, about 56 years France were brought to Abuja and charged on 3 different occasions, 3 different charges in Abuja Federal High Court, Abuja. And at the end of prosecution's case, we find a case submission which was sustained. It's not ship or just some directed that they should be released immediately. The director that should be released without further ado, and Soship signed the release warrant right there on in the bench. And they were released within 1 hour after the conclusion of the trial. I've not seen this kind of thing before. I found it very strange. I've not seen it because of my practice. That's why I said the press should witness the proceedings of today, so the world will know what actually is happening in the state. I don't advise for any form of violence. I know they started with law and it will end with law, and it ended today. They have no way to hide. I've told them there's no place to hide. What they will do, or the normal thing for them to do, is to release these innocent citizens who have committed no offense unto law and been held since 2021. This 4 years, going to 5 years, without committing any offense. And it was still, when a court of competent jurisdiction has in several 4 occasions discharged and acquitted them, and you are still holding them. What kind of law are they practicing? What kind of government are they practicing in the state? You cannot see this kind of situation in another state. You won't see it in another state. You won't see it in Enugu state. You won't see it in Imo state. It hasn't happened. In each of the occasions I go for any matter and get my client discharged, they will go court to release them without wasting time. We court to release them without wasting time. It's happening in Abuja just last on December last year. I'm urging the state governor to intervene. Get these people out. Let them go and face their life. I've not seen such thing before. And it cannot continue. There must be an end to this madness. It's complete madness. There must be an end to it. Thank you so much. My name is Saifan Ejofo. Thank you. Yes, sir.
This is exactly why our great leader is doing what he is doing. We have the right under the Zoo Constitution to agitate for Biafra peacefully without being arrested and tortured and maltreated as we are witnessing all around Nigeria. Just look at how they are treating our Biafran brothers who have committed no crime. Every crime they are being tried for are all concocted allegations. Even after they have been cleared and set free several times, they keep rearresting them each time the court sets them free. Nobody is above the law. This popular phrase forms the foundation of the legal system in most countries across the globe. We can say that modern democracy could not have existed without it. Absolutely no democratic state currently exists where people are above the law. And this is true around the world until you meet the country called Nigeria. In Nigeria, it has been widely observed that with just the right amount of money or power, one can bend the law to their advantage. But this is why you have governmental institutions like the judiciary and executive to respectively interpret and enforce the law equally to everyone, thereby protecting the dignity, equity, and supremacy of the rule of law. However, what do you do when even the executive and judiciary decide to place themselves above the law? A video going viral on the internet about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's reaction to Justice Binta Nyako's insistence to continue presiding over his case has laid bare what everyone already knows. Nigeria does not obey her own laws. How else does one explain the government refusing to obey a court order ordering the release of Nnamdi Kanu? How else does one rationalize the kidnapping of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu by the Nigerian government? Despite the law saying that kidnapping is a crime, how does one justify a judge passing a court order, recusing herself from presiding a case, but then deciding to continue presiding over said case regardless? There are countless examples of the Nigerian governmental institutions breaking its own laws in order to achieve its own motives. But we IPOB and Biafra supporters are focused on our own injustices. Non-Biafra supporters would look at this and sneer. Some would even call Mazi Nnamdi Kanu insolent for speaking strongly and vociferously against the illegality of Justice Binta Nyako's handling of the court proceedings. However, I must call on everyone who has seen that video to look beyond this as a Biafra thing. This is about the rule of law. One must understand that governments are made up of people, ordinary people like you and me, people who seek their own gains, people who would not hesitate to take advantage of the power they have to pursue their personal goals. The rule of law is there to protect the people in government from themselves, but it is also there to protect the common citizen from people in power. No one wants to live in a country where those in power can use the power whichever way they like. Unfortunately, this is the reality for Nigerians. This is what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is kicking against. He is charging the Nigerian government to obey its own laws. And indeed, any patriotic citizen of Nigeria should charge its government to obey the laws of the land. Mazi Kanu's strong stand against the illegality of the Nigerian court is not only a display of Biafran patriotism, but also a great example of the standards to which Nigerians must hold their government. Nobody is above the law. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has taken his stand, and everyone who believes in democracy must stand with him, whether or not they are in support of Biafran sovereignty. It would be immoral, illegal, and irresponsible to do otherwise. Thank you, Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor, for your great and selfless work for Biafrans. Stay tuned for more updates, stay safe, and have a blessed day.